organized labor to resume strike next Wednesday. Bandits release 15 more captive victims in Katsina after peace deal agreement. In international news, Hong Kong faces more protests after night of violence. And in sport, football initiative uplifts internally displaced youths in Nigeria.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. The Niger Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have both threatened to go on strike if their demands on the consequential adjustment on the new minimum wage are not met by Wednesday next week. A strike notice was contained in a communique released after a meeting among NLC, TUC and Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council. The communique was signed jointly by NLC President Comrade Ayuba Waba and TUC President Comrade Quadri Olaleye. The workers want the immediate implementation of the signed agreement on consequential adjustment of public workers' salaries with backdated effect from April, when the new minimum wage was signed into law. President of African Development Bank, Adesina Akinwumi, says he appreciates his nomination by President Muhammadu Buhari for re-election for another term as president of the bank. Adesina says in his 4 years as president, the African Development Bank has connected 16 million persons to electricity. He says it has also provided 70 million persons with improved agricultural technologies to achieve food security. Adesina further said 9 million persons now have access to private sector funding and that 55 million persons now have access to improved transport, while 31 million now enjoy water and sanitation. Adesina says 180 million persons overall have directly benefited from the African Development Bank. Last year, the bank was rated the fourth most transparent institution globally. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has filed court papers to confiscate a number of properties traced to the embattled former chairman of the Pension Reforms Task Team, Abdul Rashid Maina. EFCC also has filed another motion to get an extended order to detain the former deputy director with the Customs, Immigration and Prisons Pension. The Department of State Services arrested Maina last week in an undisclosed hotel in Abuja. The EFCC says it has traced to Maina many houses worth hundreds of millions of naira, both in Nigeria and abroad. EFCC also credits to Maina 5 companies it claims he also used to engage in money laundering. The Commission has demanded explanation of the money in the accounts of those firms. Reports say Maina would be hauled to court this week to answer to a barrage of economic and financial charges. A member of the House of Representatives, Bede Eke, has proposed that the National Assembly creates a law that disqualifies Nigerians older than 70 from contesting in presidential elections. He says there is need to have a maximum age for qualification to run for president. Eke says he plans to sponsor a bill to put a ceiling on the qualifying age to run for president when the National Assembly resumes or begins another review of the Constitution. The lawmaker says the objective of the bill is to allow young minds to take leadership roles in the country. Another set of 15 kidnapped victims from Katsina State has been released by bandits after a peace deal with the state government. The captives were in custody for 44 days around the Sadao Forest in Zamfara State. 30 abducted victims were earlier released as part of the truce. Governor Aminu Masari's administration initiated the dialogue with the hoodlums to end the sustained attacks on communities in 8 council areas of the state. A statement by the Director General of Media, Abdullah Baran, confirmed the victims were handed over to the governor by the Transition Committee Chairman of Jibwa Local Council, Alhaji Haruna Musa in Katsina. Governor Mazari says the next phase of sustaining peace in Katsina is for the bandits to surrender their arms and ammunition and be rehabilitated and integrated into the society. Masari says the last phase will involve provisions of amenities like schools, clinics, roads, water points for human and animal consumption, as well as redemarcation of cattle routes encroached by some farmers and converted into farmlands. The Bauchi State Government Funds and Asset Recovery Committee has criticized the state's former governor, Mohammed Abubakar, for claiming he spent more than 2 billion naira to purchase mahogany and shrubs for the Bauchi Central Cemetery. The panel says the only way the former governor could have spent such an amount was if more than 500,000 persons had died during his 4 years in office. The Bauchi State government earlier reported Abubakar spent almost 2.5 billion naira on the purchases for use at the Bauchi Muslim Cemetery between January and May this year. Special advisor on media to the immediate past governor of the state, Ali had clarified that the money spent for the supply of mahogany and shrubs for the cemetery was just about 1.5 billion naira and not the nearly 2.5 billion naira during Abubakar's 4-year term as governor. In a media statement on Sunday, Ali said the panel misfired. He said the Asset Recovery Committee is in a haste to achieve its predetermined objective of injuring the reputation and profile of the former governor. Ali said his boss will seek redress in the court. Coming up, African stories. Egypt cuts fuel prices for first time in decades. And later, international news. Hong Kong faces more protests after nights of violence.
You are watching ANN.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. Roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to African stories. Egypt's Petroleum Ministry has announced new fuel prices that went into effect on Friday. And in a rare move in decades, the prices went down. The decrease comes following anti-government protests believed to have been partly driven by economic hardships. The new prices will be reviewed in 3 months, and Yazir Hakim has the report.
The fuel price cuts are a result of the new pricing system adopted for the first time by the government.
The mechanism allows prices to increase or decrease by 10% every 3 months. Calculation is based first on the price of the international Brent oil in addition to the cost of production as well as the dollar value in Egypt. The government saw a weakening of the dollar against the Egyptian pound lately and the fall in the Brent oil prices internationally to $59 a barrel. It has therefore reduced fuel prices by £0.25 per litre.
To cut its budget deficit, the government had been gradually slashing subsidies on fuel over the last 5 years. Fuel prices have more than doubled during that period. Therefore, any price cuts is welcomed by Egyptians.
This is good. He's the first president to reduce fuel prices. It has never happened before. That's better for us.
It's good that prices dropped. I was hoping it will drop more like £1 per litre. Nevertheless, it's good though.
The government says the money saved from the fuel subsidy cuts have been triggered towards social welfare programs.
The subsidies on fuel have fallen significantly. It was £110 billion 2 years ago. It dropped to £89 billion in the 2018 to 2019 fiscal year, and now has dropped by another £39 billion to reach £59 billion Egyptian pounds of subsidies.
The next fuel price evaluation is expected in December. It's the first time that Egyptians witnessed a reduction in fuel prices. Though minimal, it's an encouraging sign that Egyptians will begin to feel the rewards of the latest austerity measures.
United Nations spokesperson Stephen Dujarric has hailed the anti-Ebola campaign achievement in DR Congo as an important milestone. Dujarric says 1,000 persons have survived the Ebola outbreak in the country. Dujarric told reporters in New York on Friday the achievement was as a result of new drugs unveiled a few months ago at the height of the Ebola outbreak.
Following the new treatments have improved survival rates of people infected with Ebola. According to a recent study, over 90% of people who receive treatment early enough during their illness can be saved. Vaccination has also protected over 225,000 people.
Ebola broke out in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in August last year. The World Health Organization says it is the largest and longest running case experienced, with more than 2,100 deaths and 3,000 reported cases. The Ugandan government has warned its citizens against the use of digital currencies in the country. Finance Minister Matia Kaisaja says the use is a fraud and no Ugandan should spend cryptocurrencies in the country. The government says those who spend digital currencies are on their own if they get burned because they are not recognized in Uganda. Michael Baleke has the details.
Uganda says it does not recognize any cryptocurrency as legal tender. No organization has been licensed in the country to facilitate trade in cryptocurrencies.
The public is advised to appraise themselves of the risks associated with this animal called cryptocurrencies and exercise caution before they make transactions involving such products.
Cryptocurrencies are internet-based and not bound by geography. All the transactions are stored in an online database not regulated by the government. According to the Bank of Uganda, digital currencies are not backed by the central bank and carry significant risk of loss of people's savings with no option for protection or insurance.
Money has its own unique place, and as a central bank, we do not believe that cryptocurrency meets the characteristics that a currency should have.
Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum have become widely used, prompting more national and regional authorities to grapple with their regulation. Authorities here fear cryptocurrencies may create opportunities for illegal activities such as money laundering and terrorism. Regulatory bodies like Bank of Uganda are still trying to make sense of these new emerging technologies. But experts in the digital exchanges say if well regulated, cryptocurrencies can generate business opportunities. They can shape policy, spark innovation, and even create jobs. Promoters of digital technologies want the government to quickly come up with laws to consider new innovations.
Their schemes in town are mostly Ponzi schemes, are mostly pyramid schemes. And these are the ones that are disguising and hiding behind the pretense of these things called cryptocurrencies, and that is wrong. So there are several investment opportunities in cryptocurrencies. There are even cryptocurrencies that are used for transactions, meaning that is pegged to an asset, something, for instance, pegged to the Uganda shilling, and someone can use that for transaction.
Social media platform Facebook recently announced the Libra, a new cryptocurrency targeting its 2 billion users around the world, which the company intends to launch next year. The Ugandan government, however, says it has assembled a team of experts to study and look into all emerging technologies, including cryptocurrencies, with a view of formalizing their use.
When we return, international news. Hong Kong faces more protests after night of violence. And later, sport. Football initiative uplifts internally displaced youths in Nigeria.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to international stories. The impeachment inquiry into U.S. President Donald Trump's Ukraine phone call is deepening as lawyers announced a second whistleblower has come forward. Testimony from the unnamed U.S. government official is expected to corroborate claims by the first whistleblower. The new whistleblower is said to have direct knowledge of Trump's Ukraine phone call. Democrats released text messages last week that show U.S. officials were involved in a push to secure public commitments from Ukraine to dig up dirt on Trump's domestic political rival, former Vice President Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden. The Trump White House has been unable to provide any evidence of wrongdoing on the part of either Biden. A parade of U.S. diplomats will head to Capitol Hill for closed-door testimony this week as Democrats build their impeachment case against President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the White House is looking for ways to slow down the process. Trump has denied wrongdoing and has called the probe a hoax and a coup. 15 persons were killed in an eastern Baghdad neighborhood overnight when clashes broke out between Iraqi security forces and anti-government protesters. This brings to 110 the death toll from nearly a week of violence. In an effort to douse tensions, the military announced on Monday it was withdrawing from Sadr City, a sprawling residential district, and handing over to police. Protests broke out in Baghdad early last week as public anger swelled over jobs, services, and endemic corruption among Iraq's leaders and politicians. The unrest spread to several mostly Shiite Muslim southern cities. Police used live ammunition from the first day, and Interior Ministry official numbers show at least 104 persons have been killed and more than 6,000 wounded. It said 8 of the dead were security forces. It is the bloodiest unrest and biggest challenge to Iraq's security since the declared defeat of Islamic State in 2017. It has shaken Abdulmajid's Yorùbá government. Hong Kong is struggling to recover on Monday after overnight violent clashes. 2 protesters have been shot and scores arrested after 4 months of massive and sometimes violent protests. Authorities say the shootings were not intentional but occurred during skirmishes between police and protesters. Not only protesters have been injured in the clashes, police and journalists have also sustained injuries after law enforcement used rubber bullets, tear gas and water cannons against demonstrators. Some protesters responded by throwing bricks and petrol bombs. Hong Kong's metro rail system was only partially functioning on Monday because protesters have burnt down many stations. Several shops and Chinese banks have been extensively damaged. Tens of thousands of protesters marched peacefully through the center of Hong Kong on Sunday, wearing face masks in defiance of the emergency powers that threatened them with a maximum of 1 year in prison for hiding their faces. The city's leader, Carrie Lam, says the face mask ban was necessary to end the violence by militant activists, but the move has been criticized by human rights groups and the United Nations and has sparked more violent protests. Up next, sports. Football initiative uplifts internally displaced youths in Nigeria. Please stay with us.
Watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow the story everywhere, From every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse, we bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit. Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News in Sports. Most internally displaced persons, IDPs and refugees who face enormous challenges and dire living conditions could decide to use their situation as an excuse for failure. Many of them lack food, shelter, water, sanitation and good health care. Well, the youngsters in this next story are a part of that world, but they have refused to let their present condition deter them from exploring their talents. Reporter Deji Badmus has more.
In 2014, Boko Haram insurgents stormed his original town of Gwoza, killing any young male they sighted. By sheer stroke of luck, John Dawa escaped the onslaught and eventually found himself at this IDP camp in Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital. Rosemary James has a similar story. She and her parents fled the Boko Haram insurgency in their home state of Borno and arrived here sometime in 2014. The story of Dawa and Rosemary is beginning to change, thanks to their footballing talents. After sporting their talents in the camp, Solomon John brought them into his football academy, an initiative he co-founded with his friend, and where almost all the players are internally displaced persons from across 17 communities.
There are so many, not just the IDP, young people from on the South community. They have so much talent, but due to the pressure in the camp and due to the conditions they face in the camp, they can't really participate in sport activities. So I decided to take up the challenge to go there and encourage them to play soccer.
Twice every weekday, Solomon, who is also a football coach, and some of his friends who are volunteers gather the players here for training. Players have to put in their best to get selected, and as a result of the dedication of the team, they've been able to achieve great feats within just 3 years of existence, including taking part in a football event in the United States of America recently.
We had one of the best players among other countries, and one of our football player, which is called Wisdom, will be going to Germany for a football academy where he's going to be schooling there and also be playing soccer there.
See my dream coming to reality. I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm so very happy because he's the one doing all these things for me, and I hope to go bigger forward in my football.
Like Wisdom, Dawa and Rosemary cherish their experience in the United States and are confident their time would come.
I'm happy I'm excited because even my mom, she did not even expect that I'm going to use the US, and by God's grace I'm there right now, and I thank God.
I hope to achieve a higher football, quality football, because I play soccer each day. I play soccer very well.
We don't have anybody funding us, we fund ourselves. So this is just better out of the passion we have for young people. So it has not been really easy, and we're looking forward to the federal government to support us.
Despite the difficulty, their passion to give life a new meaning to these displaced and vulnerable youths through football is still driving Solomon and his team of volunteers.
That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Have a pleasant evening.